to record in the house?
Yes. So I did.
But it was your house.
Yes, our house. So, I mean, I know he's explained it 1,000 different ways online. He has documented our entire divorce on the Simon Show online, and then I have the Housewives, I suppose. But, yeah, there is paperwork in place that would make it a marital property 50-50 split. Outside of that being enforced, it is a premarital property.
This breakup isn't just a split between two people. It has turned into one of the ugliest, most dramatic money fights reality TV fans have ever seen. On Real Housewives of Atlanta, Porsha Williams may have looked like she was living her best life with her peach, but behind the cameras, everything was falling apart. What seemed glamorous on screen was being ripped apart in real life by secret betrayals, financial struggles, and a prenuptial agreement that would later explode into chaos. And let me be clear, this is no ordinary divorce. This is not just about love gone wrong. It's about money, power, and survival. The separation has spiraled into a courtroom battle filled with allegations of fraud, immigration scandals, and lawsuits worth hundreds of millions of dollars. What's playing out now feels less like a breakup and more like a financial war, one that could leave reputations ruined forever. But before we dive into the lawsuit that could cost someone nearly $100 million, let's rewind. Let's talk about how Simon's decisions dragged Porsha from the spotlight of reality TV into the darkness of courtroom drama. This isn't just a divorce, it's a high-stakes battle where both sides are fighting for their future. It all started with the prenuptial agreement. That paperwork, the one thing couples often ignore until it's too late, has become the very foundation of this war. Porsha claims Simon abandoned her financially, leaving her to pay massive legal bills that she never should have carried on her own. She says he broke his end of the prenup, and because of that, she's coming for him in a lawsuit worth $100 million. But don't think this is just about spousal support or Instagram clapbacks. This is bigger. We're talking about lost assets, emotional distress, damage to her career, and financial ruin. Her legal team argues that Simon not only failed her as a husband but also destroyed her stability. They say he manipulated money, dodged his responsibilities, and forced her to return to Real Housewives of Atlanta not because she wanted to, but because she needed the paycheck to keep her life afloat. And then, as if things weren't messy enough, Simon's immigration scandal hit like a bomb. You all remember earlier this year when immigration officials deported him, right? That wasn't just a paperwork issue. Authorities tied his name to past fraud and questionable financial dealings. Suddenly, Simon wasn't just fighting his ex-wife, he was also battling to clear his name on an international stage. For Porsha's lawyers, this was a gift. All they had to do was show the judge, here's a man accused of fraud, deported from the country, and unable to manage his own affairs. How can anyone trust him with money, contracts, or responsibilities? The scandal became proof that Simon wasn't just careless, he was a liability. Simon, of course, tried to flip the script. He claimed the prenuptial agreement was unfair. According to him, Porsha told him she was done with reality TV, that she was walking away from the Real Housewives of Atlanta for good. And yet, she shocked everyone by returning for season 16. His lawyers argued that if he had known she'd go back, he would have never signed the prenup the way it was written. But here's the twist, the judge didn't buy his story. The court upheld the agreement exactly as it was. That meant Porsha walked away with her Rolls-Royce, her legal fees covered, $40,000 a month in alimony for 15 months, and the right to live in their $7 million mansion until 2027. To the average person, that sounds like a win. But in the world of the rich and famous, $40,000 a month barely scratches the surface when your lifestyle costs hundreds of thousands. For Porsha, this wasn't victory, it was survival. And survival meant going after Simon with an even bigger lawsuit. That's when she filed the $100 million claim, accusing him of deliberately leaving her in financial ruins. But as she fought for financial justice, Simon's immigration issues made everything worse. His deportation wasn't just embarrassing, it connected his name to fraud cases that had been whispered about for years. In divorce court, where credibility is everything, this was devastating. And while Simon should have been laying low, he did the opposite. Instead of keeping quiet, he fought back with his own lawsuit, accusing Porsha of defamation. Why? Because of an Instagram post where she hinted her ex might have problems in the bedroom. Yes, Simon actually took her shade about erectile dysfunction to federal court, demanding $500,000 in damages. His team argued that those posts ruined his global reputation and cost him business deals. But Porsha's lawyers clapped back immediately. They pointed out that she never mentioned his name, and her posts were framed as general health awareness. Still, everyone knew who she was talking about. The timing, the hashtags, the shade, it was all too obvious. For Simon, it was humiliating. For Porsha's lawyers, it was another weapon. They argued that Simon was so busy worrying about Instagram shade that he ignored the bigger picture. He left Porsha broke, jobless, and carrying legal burdens she should have never faced. To them, his defamation case wasn't proof of his innocence. It was proof that he was petty, bitter, and trying to shift attention away from his own scandals. And this is why Porsha's $100 million lawsuit hits harder. It's not just about money. It's about proving that Simon wrecked her career, her finances, and her peace of mind. Every move he makes, whether it's complaining about prenups, crying about Instagram posts, or battling deportation, only strengthens her case. But then came the part that stunned everyone. In interviews, Simon himself admitted he regretted marrying Porsha. He said the marriage felt like a setup, a trap, something that caught him off guard. He even compared Porsha to a $5 million rehabilitation project. Think about that. He described his own wife as if she were a broken house he tried to fix and flip. Those words became a weapon against him. If he truly thought the marriage was a scam, why did he stay? Why did he sign the prenup? Why did he present himself as committed until things fell apart? The contradictions in his own statements painted him as unreliable and unstable. And in court, contradictions are deadly. At the heart of it, this isn't just about two people who fell out of love. This is about power, reputation, and survival in the brutal world of money and fame. Porsha isn't only fighting for herself, she's fighting to reclaim her stability, her dignity, and her future. Simon, on the other hand, is fighting to salvage his name and fortune, but with every move he makes, it looks like he's digging himself deeper. This divorce has become more than headlines. It's a symbol of how quickly a glamorous life can crumble when secrets, money, and pride collide. And as the lawsuits pile up, one thing is clear: the battle between Porsha Williams and Simon is far from over. What started as love has ended as war, and only one of them will walk away with their reputation and their fortune still intact. Simon didn't just blame the money or the rumors. He went even deeper in one of his interviews, saying that Porsha claimed they were engaged only 30 days after he sent her a direct message. He admitted that from the very beginning, he felt singled out. In his own words, "Who gets engaged in 30 days? I was completely out of my mind for doing that, and now I'm paying the price. From the start, I was targeted for financial reasons." Think about that for a second. Simon himself is saying he knew it was reckless, that he jumped into a marriage without thinking it through, and now he's carrying the weight of that decision. But the part that really stood out, the line that people keep coming back to, was when he compared Porsha to a rehabilitation project. He described investing in her the way you might invest in a broken home, pouring money into repairs, only to realize it cost far more than it was worth. That comment might have been meant as a way to defend himself, but it completely backfired. Instead of making him look like a victim, it made him look cold. It made him sound like he saw his wife as nothing more than a risky investment. And if you take those words and line them up against Porsha's lawsuit, her claims don't sound exaggerated at all. She says he weaponized money, abandoned her financially, and ruined her career. Well, isn't that exactly what a man does when he treats his marriage like a money pit instead of a partnership? This is where Simon's own words turn into ammunition for Porsha's legal team. They don't even need to twist his statements. They can just stand in front of the judge and say, "Look, he called her a project. He admitted he rushed into marriage out of his mind. He admitted he regrets everything. This wasn't a marriage based on love, this was a financial gamble that went bad." And when you frame it that way, Porsha's $100 million lawsuit doesn't look like revenge. It looks like her only way to protect herself after being torn apart. But while Simon was stumbling through interviews, trying to paint himself as blindsided, Porsha was quietly rebuilding her life in front of the cameras. On Real Housewives of Atlanta, we saw her searching for a new home with her mother and her sister Lauren. And it wasn't lighthearted. She admitted she was worried about where she and her daughter PJ would end up. That kind of honesty walking through a $4.2 million mansion while confessing she had no idea what the future looked like showed just how heavy this situation had become for her. Yes, she cracked jokes, like when the realtor pointed out that the house had space for a golf simulator and she quipped, "We left that person who likes golf at the other house." On the surface, it was a funny comment. But behind the humor was pain. You could see a woman trying to start over, masking her heartbreak with sarcasm, carrying the weight of knowing she had to fight for stability not just for herself but for her child. That's what makes this lawsuit so important. It's not just a headline about a reality star chasing money. It's about a woman who gave everything to a marriage and walked away with nothing but stress and debt. She's saying, "I built this life with him, and now I'm forced to start over. I won't let my daughter and I end up with nothing." Meanwhile, Simon continues to push back. He's clinging to the prenuptial agreement, throwing in defamation claims, and denying the fraud rumors that hang over him like storm clouds. Every move he makes feels like another swing in this financial boxing match. And make no mistake, this isn't a normal divorce. This is financial warfare, with both sides hitting harder and harder, each determined not to be the one left standing in ruins. So the question becomes, who is really at fault here? Is Porsha justified in demanding $100 million? Or is Simon right that he was unfairly targeted from the very beginning? Was this love gone wrong? Or was it always a calculated game about money and survival? One thing is for sure, this story is far from over. The next chapter could change everything, because Simon's confidential financial records are set to be revealed. If those documents come out, they could either support Porsha's claims or flip the entire case upside down. And that's why you can't take your eyes off this drama. What started as a whirlwind romance has turned into a courtroom war that could define both of their futures. Porsha is fighting to protect her peace of mind and her daughter's future. Simon is fighting to salvage his reputation and what's left of his fortune. But in a battle this ugly, only one side will walk away with victory. So let me ask you, whose side are you on? Do you believe Porsha's lawsuit is justified, or do you think Simon is being dragged through the mud unfairly? Because no matter what, this fight is about to get even messier.